Okay? Focal, because the seizure is constrained to one region of the cortex. Simple, because consciousness is not at all involved. As this seizure is going on, although I might have some problems speaking during it, I'm fully aware and I can talk to you. And it's motor because that's the manifestation. Okay? Now, let's move the seizure generator back 2 or 3 centimeters, and now we're in the parietal lobe. What do you think the seizure's like now? Anyone remember what the parietal lobe does as opposed to... Well, that's going to be in another area. So, sensation, I think I heard somebody say. So the parietal lobe has to do with sensation. So when we pick up signals from the outside world along the surface of our skin, for example, we actually ultimately sense that in the parietal lobe. Okay? So here we go, starting the seizure, and here we go. I can sense it. It's happening. It's just what it always feels like. It's sort of migrating up my hand. I can feel it in my face a little bit too. This is what it always feels like. I can't really describe I don't have words to describe exactly what this feels like. Why? Because this is not the type of normal activity that your cortex has. So the words we use for it feels kind of light or soft or cold or tingly or whatever, these are words that we derive because we all can have the same experience. But the seizure that I'm having is abnormal activity that is unique to me, and all I can say is it feels really weird and different. And there it goes. It's gone away. So is this a focal seizure? Yes. Is it a simple seizure? Yes. Consciousness doesn't need to be impaired. And instead of being a motor seizure, we'll call it a sensory seizure. Okay? So there's a number of other details in this classification system at this section, but I'm not going to include it. Oh, here's what I want. Okay, now let's move the seizure generator to a different spot. Let's put it in the temporal lobe, left temporal lobe. So, what's the temporal lobe do? Especially the left temporal lobe. Emotions sit there. Yeah, the amygdala is this almond-shaped structure is in the deep temporal lobe that we know has to do with fear and emotions. Language, especially if it's left, most of us have our language sitting in the left hemisphere. It's not everybody, but most. So our ability to understand things that people are saying or to be able to form words and to produce language is sitting there. Anything else? So there's this structure called the hippocampus. Exactly, good. So the hippocampus is this seahorse-shaped, hence hippocampus, seahorse-shaped structure that is absolutely critical for memory function. And it sits on both temporal lobes, but when one's affected, your memory. Now, putting all that together, the seizure that may occur is going to be a bit more curious. So, and that's what a seizure emanating from the temporal lobe might be like. I was unable to communicate because language is affected. I didn't show much emotion in this one, but I can tell you that we've measured many examples of seizures emanating from the temporal lobe in which the emotions are incredible, actually, that are emitted by the person during the seizure. And my memory was probably not completely normal during that. I couldn't process the events that we're all processing right now second by second. So was consciousness impaired? Yes. Not only because of the language, by the way. A person can lose language and may still be quite aware of things. But if you throw in the changes in emotional processing, plus language abnormalities, plus the inability to sort of take in information second by second that memory systems allow us to do, consciousness is abnormal, okay? So is it a focal seizure? Yes, we made it occur in one discrete region. Is it simple? No, consciousness was impaired, so we're going to call it complex. And the subtype, at least the one we just created, we could call it a temporal lobe seizure. Okay? An example, one example. Now the front part of the